studio with us for the next hour is the one, the only, Edward-Griffin, author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, filmmaker, fighting the globalists for more than 40 years. He's here in Austin to give several speeches. We'll tell you about that before he leaves us. We apologize. We have to get Lord Monckton on with him for about 5-10 minutes. It's the only time Lord Monckton can do it. He was on with us for a full hour or more than an hour just the other day. But there has been a new event where Brown Shirt Youth Corps from the Rockefeller Foundation and, of course, the George Soros-funded groups, they're admittedly with them, came and took over his speech today, completely shut it down. Didn't go like We Are Change and ask questions in the press conference and then drug out. No, they just came and took over, and no one could stop them because Lord Monckton doesn't have all the big, oil company security people like Al Gore does, who owns, by the way, Occidental Petroleum, and it's one of the biggest people cutting down the rainforest. But that's how this scam works. So that is coming up here in the next 10 minutes. Lord Monckton should be joining us. If not, it'll be in the next hour. But G. Edward-Griffin, I feel like I know you so well. This is, I believe, the first time that we've met in person, unless my memory fails me. It is great to have you sitting here in the flesh.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here, Alex. Yeah, we did meet once before. In fact, I was on your show when you had the old facility.
That's right. You were in studio before.
Yes.
I don't know. I was having this deja vu moment. No, I just watched so much video. I get to where I can't tell anymore.
Right.
I apologize. We have met.
Well, it's good to be here.
Well met, my friend.
Yes, indeed. And I really like your studio. I understand you're doing so well. And that it's so encouraging because while the earth seems to be falling apart, you're one of the bright hopes out there.
Well, we're small, but we're a fly on the end of the New World Order's behind, but we're irritating them.
It's more like a mosquito.
Yeah, but we're injecting cyanide into their lies.
Yes.
Hey, would you like to bow down to Al Gore, Newsweek, the Earth's prophet, the thinking man's thinking man?
Oh, how did they spell that? I would have spelled it differently.
Oh, how would you spell it?
With an S and a T. It's amazing how the media can mythalize things like that. I think Al Gore has lost his charm. I think he's lost a lot of the aura of being infallible. And of course, he has a loyal following. You can't beat that. They'll follow him right over the edge of the earth if necessary. But I think most of the people were sort of in that gray middle zone where they weren't sure whether there was global warming or not. But since Al Gore was saying there was, they went with it. Now they know that this whole Climategate thing is blowing all of that apart. So I think progress is being made. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. G. Edward-Griffin with us in studio. Lord Monckton coming up to pop in a little while with us. The Climategate and now the leaked Danish text, the actual treaty that the U.S. and others wanted to sign, doubles or right at doubles the amount of taxes on the third world, and it's meant to destroy their development. All these major newspapers like the Financial Post calling for, quote, Chinese-style global authority to enforce one-child policy. Isn't that, from your research, and give us your take on it, the heart of what this is really all about?
I think it's very close to the heart. Yeah, it's not only the control of the population and reproductive rates, but it's the control of all aspects of human endeavor. And, it's the old story. Your listeners know it so well, Alex, that in order to convince the people of the world that they should give up their freedom and they should accept these draconian measures over their lives, you have to scare them. You have to convince them that there's something very terrible going to happen, either terrorism or crime or drugs or overpopulation or whatever it is, a destruction of the planet, so that people will be so grateful when these politicians come along and propose various types of legislation that's going to take away their freedom. But they say, don't worry about your freedom. We're going to save your life. We're going to save the planet. It's the old game. It's been going on and on for almost 100 years.
Reading the treaty, which I have here in front of me, they state global government. Von Rompuy, the head of the EU, says it's world government. Ban Ki-moon, head of the UN, Secretary General, writes editorials saying it's world government. They're announcing that the Copenhagen Global Treaty, a tax on all financial transactions, a 2% tax on the GDP off the top, taxes on all fuel. They admit this will devastate the third world and that they actually want to shut down their development, which will actually make them continue to have all these children. All the studies show once you're industrialized, you start having less children than you did before, and the replacement rate drops to 1.3 children instead of more than 2 children per group of adults.
Well, I think the mistake is made when the public gives credence to the motives of what these people are doing. They're always saying they're going to control the birth rate in order to decrease the population explosion. And supposedly, this is for the benefit of mankind. They're going to control us in this way or that way, and it's always for the benefit of mankind. It's for our own good, supposedly. But in reality, we shouldn't give them credence for that, because that's never been their motive. Their motive is really just raw control over human beings. So I don't think it makes much sense to listen to what these people are saying. They're always distorting the truth. So what more can I say on that? This is sort of like preaching to the choir here. I think that your listeners certainly know that very well. But what can I say in addition to that? That we have to really think about the master plan behind all of this. And the master plan really has nothing to do with controlling the temperature or climate control or preventing overpopulation or none of that. That's just smokescreen. That's just propaganda to make us think that they're good guys and they're really looking out for us.
Well, the neo-colonial system of the IMF and World Bank coming in that you talk about so much, loaning our tax money at loan sharking rates, where Nigeria gets $1 billion loan, and today they've paid over $60 billion back on that $1 billion. The IMF and World Bank don't want to help the third world, and they've sold this, global taxes on all carbon to save the third world, and they've told the liberals it's to help the Africans and the Latin Americans, when in truth it will admittedly starve even more people.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. That you can't listen to what these people are saying their motives are. They really want control. That's what it's all about. When will the American people wake up to the fact that these leaders, both national and international, have one thing in mind, and only one thing, and that's control over human beings. That's the bottom line, and all this other talk is nonsense.
Tell us about what you're doing in Austin, and then I want to get into the treating more the establishment of world government, how long they've been working at this, and where you think they are in this plan, because it seems that they're trying to accelerate their program because so many people are waking up to them. But I want to get your take on that. But tell us about some of the events you're going to be holding here in Austin.
Well, I'm here, Alex, and thanks for asking me on that. I'm here to do a seminar. We call it a crash course on money. And just as the name suggests, it has two meanings for the word crash. It's a crash course in the sense that it's condensed. We do it all in one day from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. It's all done. So it's a crash course. But also it's based on the recognition that we're in a crash economy. And people particularly want to know not just about money, but how to protect the money they already have from being confiscated through inflation, what kind of investments to make, if any, are good investments, and how to get out of debt and all the various aspects of how to protect yourselves. And also we're taking a look at the long-term strategies of how to protect your children and your grandchildren. So we're not just focused on the money side of it, but the system side of it. We believe very firmly that if you don't preserve the system, it won't make any difference because you won't have any money anyway. So that's what we're doing. It's a crash course on money, and I hope that if anybody's interested in hearing my views on that, they'll come out. It's being held on Saturday right here in Austin at, it's at the Marriott. Maybe during the break I can get my assistant to give me the address and all that. But
folks can also just go to your website.
Oh, that's the better way, yes. Go right to realityzone.com. And when they get to the landing page, there will be a big banner talking about the crash course.
Right, and we're going to talk about your event you've got coming up tonight in just a moment. But we now turn in just a moment to Lord Christopher Monckton. And while he's speaking, we're going to show you some video without the audio of the disruptors. Now, the difference is with the Tea Parties and We Are Change, they go to Al Gore events, buy a book, go up and say, sir, what about ClimateGate? What about you lying about carbon dioxide rising and then temperatures rising when it's actually opposite? Sir, what about you making all this money off of this? And then they get drug out. At this event in Copenhagen, Lord Christopher Monckton, one of the chief people exposing the man-made climate fraud, had one of their little events. This is David having an event against Goliath. Groups funded by George Soros. We have an article about this at prisonplanet.com. Brown Shirt Youth Corps invade Monckton's speech. And we have the article here with the groups that are funded by Soros and the Rockefellers and others, and by the UN there, taking over, not letting him have a speech. And, of course, Monckton isn't funded by the powers that be, so he didn't have thugs there to beat everyone up and drag them off. So they just took it over, showing how they're a group of jackboots. And now we have the National Post calling for a planetary regime for one-child policy. They admit cutting off the food will reduce population. That is the goal. So hence these are Nazis. Joining us is Lord Christopher Monckton. Thank you for coming on today, sir.
Very good to be with you, Alex.
Well, this is outrageous. Please tell us what these green shirts / brown shirts did.